Okay folks, if you're watching this and I'm not here, it would mean that I've fallen to the dread loogie. So I'm just going to put this up. I'll put this up in the hope that it's going to help you. So I wouldn't mind you doing this question to start with. If an amount is increased by 18% and the resulting amount is then decreased by 18%, do a return to the original amount. So I'd like to do that for you to do that and leave a bit of a space underneath. You can do it with, let's do it with $10,000, okay? And we're going to increase it by 18%. So hopefully you're understanding that you'd be multiplying that by the multiplier, 100% plus the 18. I won't give it to you, but hopefully you'll get a multiplier in there. When you do that on your calculator, it's going to give you a certain amount of money, all right? Then what you have to do is multiply it by a decrease of 18%. And so that, of course, will be 100% take the 18%, which will be the multiplier there. The question is, do you get back to $10,000 or do you get to another amount? Okay, so first and foremost, I'd like you to do that. Now, if you're watching this, it's because I'm away, yes, I've said that, but also that simple interest is where you're next at. So don't be listening to this unless you are ready to do simple interest, okay? The simple interest formula, the way this book explains it, isn't ideal in my eyes, but anyhow, that's what we've got. And the simple interest formula that they use is interest equals PIN. The interest formula I'd like to use is interest equals PRT. You may have seen this one prior because I'm not sure I've ever seen PIN. But anyway, we'll try and roll with PIN and I'll try and do it both ways. So P in both relates to the principal or the initial amount borrowed or the initial amount put into a bank. So this is your principal and this is your principal. Okay, so both of them are your principals. Not in the Mr. Angus variety. The interest they call, or the I, is the flat rate of interest per year. Per annum means per year. Okay, per year. So interest is just the rate of interest, all right? But the important word there is flat. So in the example down here, it's 12% per annum. So the P, simple interest payable on an investment of $20,000, that should be P. Your I is 12, okay? Percent, which is 12 over 100. Therefore, your I is 0.12. Your P is your 20,000, okay? And then your N, or T, so your N, or I call it T, the I called R, T, the important thing here is it's time, but in years, in fractions of years. And I'll tell you why that's important, because in this question, it's for a period of 4 years. So that's no worries. Your N, according to this formula, or me, it's according to T, is 4. Okay, so you've got your 20,000, you've got your 0.12, and you've got your 4. PIN equals 20,000 times 0.12 times 4, and that equals 9,600. If you were to invest $20,000 at 12% over 4 years, you would get your 20,000 back, plus you'd get 9,600 back. So all up, in total, at the end of that period, you'd get $29,600. Pen's blowing up, about $29,600. The amount of interest, which is what the question is asking, find the simple interest, is that, okay? Now, there's questions which don't actually call it in years. And I'll give you an example here in a minute. I'll just get rid of that scribble. And a question is like this one. So we have calculate the simple interest, or calculate the interest payable on an investment of $15,000. What is that? That is your P. At 8% per annum, that is your I, or as I put it, that is your R. 8% is 0.08. And your T this time, T, or I think they call it N, is in months. All right? You've got to do that as a fraction of a year. So you say to yourself, how many months are there in a whole year? There are 12. How many is it invested for? In this circumstance is 9. And earlier on, we tried to simplify fractions, and that's what this is requiring to do. Divide that by the common denominator. The common denominator is divided by 3. So 9 divided by 3 gives you 3. 12 divided by 3 gives you 4. So T, or N, is equal to 3/4 or 0.75. You can do that on your calculator, of course. 3 divided by 4 is 0.75, or you can just do it as a fraction using the button we've discussed, which looks like that. So simple interest, you'll just need to read the question carefully. Are they asking you for the interest paid, or are they asking you for the total amount paid out? I'll try and locate some of those questions for you. So all of this, question 3, Gemma deposits, let's go with this. Gemma deposits 7,800 P, special investment account on the 6th of May. The account pays 8.75% per annum simple interest. If Gemma withdraws the money on September 9th, how much was her investment? Now the thing missing at the moment is T, or N, and that's got to be worked out by a calendar, which will challenge you. They're talking about days on this occasion, so it's got to be a fraction of 365. You work out the days difference between those two. Okay, so we're still just finding the interest. Okay, how much interest, how much will her investment have earned over this time? So that's still talking about interest. I'll try and locate one for you. This is an example here where 4,000 is borrowed, P. Under simple interest terms, find the total amount to be repaid. The total amount to be repaid after 10 years being T and I being that, all right, or that's N, or that's R, all right. So they're asking for the total amount, excuse me. This is why I'm staying away, if I do. Where was I? Yeah, you're finding the interest and then you're adding it to the original amount. So whatever the interest turns out plus the original amount was 4,000, and that's how you get your total amount to be repaid. So folks, I hope that helps you, because once you've done this simple interest learning and the questions that you have to do there, once you do that simple interest learning, you will be doing or picking up your simple interest directed investigation, where you're buying a car and doing other groovy stuff. Okay? Hope to see you. Otherwise, hopefully you've been able to watch this to get some clarity. Okay. Over and out.